Greetings, lords and ladies, it is I, your majesty, King Punchwood here. And we are about to go on a sorry, never mind. It's not King Punchwood, it's just me, Paul. I'm sorry to tease you like that, but I did promise that I would do a post-mortem video on Tale of Kingdoms, and not only talk about the mod and the series, but also mention, or at least maybe tease a little bit about what's coming down the pike to replace Tale of Kingdoms as a modded roleplay series. So that's what we're going to do today. And I guess we'll say goodbye to everyone here. These are all the pets, of course. But I think what we'll do is hop on the mighty steed, Pickles, and start where it all began. Where it all began, back at the guild, when King Punchwood was merely a young man seeking fame and fortune and kinghood, working for the guildmaster. But I have found a new mod that's going to be a lot of fun to replace Tale of Kingdoms. I know there's plenty of people out there that are upset to see it go, and I'm kind of saddened by the fact that I won't be back here playing Tale of Kingdoms any longer either, but it was due. It was overdue, actually. There really wasn't much left to do here in Tale of Kingdoms. Everything had been completed, pretty much. And I figured it was time to move on. One of the reasons, or one of the main reasons, is that this is still Minecraft 1.0. And I have not upgraded to the latest Tale of Kingdoms. I know there's a new one. Bread me, Sir Buns. And, but I didn't want to... I was afraid I might screw something up with the map, because I had upgraded one time before, and I had some issues with it, and it took me a long time to get everything working properly again. So I decided to stay with 1.0, and by staying back with version 1.0 of Minecraft and the mod, you know, there were some issues still, and it was a lot more work for me to get things done, particularly when I wanted to set stuff up in creative, or even just change the day to night, or shut off the rain. There are no commands for that in this. There are no rain commands or light commands in Minecraft 1.0. So I actually had to leave the game and use NBT edit and go into the DAT files and change it that way. It was kind of a chore. But anyway, let's do a little reminiscing. So I've got a document here that I just wrote up a little list of things, and I hope I don't bore you too much, but I thought it would be kind of nice to go back and just talk about the mod and how it all began, and my thoughts and some of the things that happened to me while I was playing, as far as getting more comfortable to the roleplay and so forth. But anyway, here we go. So it started on November 2nd, 2011. I did a preview of the Tale of Kingdoms mod, and that was just obviously not roleplay. It was just me showing you guys this mod, Tale of Kingdoms, that I had found, and I was blown away by it. Particularly the fact that there were all these NPCs in here, people that were obviously controlled by the computer, and I thought it kind of brought the game to life. And back then, I don't think there were very many mods like that. I think maybe Millionaire. But this one caught my eye for doing a modded series. And I wasn't really intending to do a lot of roleplay. I wasn't sure how that was going to work out. But anyway, so I started doing the LP on November 8th after I did the preview, and that's the one where Sir Punchwood arrives. That was episode number 1, and it was Minecraft Beta 1.8. So it was before Minecon and the release of Minecraft 1.0, in fact. And I was using the DokuCraft texture pack to make it look like an RPG, you know, more RPG-ish. And that seemed to work out pretty well. And I just went back and watched the first episode, and it's pretty funny. I wasn't really doing any role play. It was more like, hey guys, we're gonna start this series, and we're gonna use this mod, and it's called Tale of Kingdoms, and here we go. And I started playing it very much like I would a normal survival let's play, for example, talking about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, why I'm doing it. But we had, obviously, the Tale of Kingdoms and the Mo Creatures mod, too. And that's where this Pegasus comes from and all the animals and so forth, because I wanted to have more creatures and pets and things like that. I thought that would be fun, so But I was just watching the first episode, and it was pretty bad. Essentially, the role play. I mean, it was like, hey guys, all right, let's chop this tree. Oh boy, I gotta make a hoe. I gotta do this, and oh, I gotta get some bread. And forsooth, what is that monster there in the woods? Let us defeat it. Ha ha! Have at you. And then I would be role play for about 10 seconds. You know, not even role play. I would just be in a character mode. And then, using a silly voice, and then I'd be like, okay, let's get this money, and then I'd be talking about, like, oh, by the way, I'm going to Minecon in a couple of weeks, guys. Yeah, so how you guys doing? So it was kind of not even 50-50. It was a little bit of role play and a little bit of, or more, you know, like 80% playing Minecraft and talking about general things, like I do in any regular Let's Play, and then tossing in some silly voice like I'm a king. Have at you. What black magic is this? And then I would go back into regular Paul mode. So I thought that was a little odd, and I just went through a few more episodes, and it wasn't until, I'm reading my notes here, I started staying in character. Somewhere around range 12 to 13 around the reficule attack in the guild. And to be in character, that means I wasn't really talking about real life stuff anymore. I'd at least stopped doing that. I wasn't talking about my kids. I wasn't talking about Minecon. I wasn't talking about movies. I was pretty much playing the role of the king at that point, or at least the hunter. It wasn't king yet. And, but I wasn't using the voice all the time. So I assume that we can call that I was in character, but I still hadn't embraced the kingly voice. And the kingly voice showed up and stayed somewhere around episode 25-ish. And that's when I just stayed in my kingly voice and pretended I was a king from start to finish in each episode. So anyway, I guess some people liked it, some people didn't. And I think a lot of people that jumped in somewhere in the middle of the series didn't really understand what RP was. Even in the beginning, they didn't know what it was. And I think it may have turned some people off, and other people really enjoyed it. So I enjoyed doing it once I fully embraced it. And so I stuck with it. And I thought it was pretty cool. You know, it's funny because there were still some comments, and I still get this in like Man vs. Minecraft and Skyrim and stuff. Dude, it's just a game. Why are you talking so weird? Stop it. Stupid. No, it's not really. It's role play. It's like acting. You know, if I were an actor on television or in movies, do you think that's stupid too? No, of course you don't, because you go see movies and you enjoy them and you have fun, and that's what it's all about. And although it's a game, I'm not on the silver screen. I'm not in Hollywood. It's still the role play can still be perceived as acting. I mean, I'm sticking to a character, I'm acting, and I'm doing it for your enjoyment and my enjoyment as well. And oh gosh, don't worry, I have a backup of this world. So anyway, the RP is fun, and I am intending to do that in the next series. This is, after all, a modded roleplay series. What are you guys doing on the tent? It seems the spirits of the dead like my canopy. Look at them all. It's a whole gathering. Spirits and skeletons. Because you know what? You can find plenty of role-playing. I mean, you can find plenty of modded series. Captain Sparkles does one. Divine RPG. I'm sure that's very good. He's a good commentator, and he's a nice guy, and lots of people like watching him. And there's plenty of other modded ones too, and I don't really pay much attention to them, but you're not going to find many that are role-played. So this is something unique. Will it turn people off? Yes. Do I care? No. Because I do this for the people that enjoy it. So if you enjoy it, well, then that makes me happy. It puts a smile on my face if you enjoy the role-play. And, you know, I'm not here looking for... I'm not doing this for the numbers. I'm doing it for the enjoyment. So, okay, let's move on. Dun, dun, dun. Let me just check my notes here and hang on. All right, well, Beans just had a fabulous idea. So we're going to do a flyover. We're going to head back to town, and we will discuss the companions and pets. So I think having the companions in Tale of Kingdoms really added quite a bit of character to the game. Oh, here comes the rain. And I'm going to give you a perfect example of what I had to do. So I'm going to shut off and turn off the rain in NBT edit. Hang on. Voila! Rain be gone. And speaking of rain, I had chosen the rainiest biome in the world right here to place my kingdom in. It was horrible. There were so many times where I started to record in the beginning, you know, doing my intro, and all of us, or maybe even just a few minutes in and starting things, and it just started to pour. And I was like, all right, do I shut it off and start over for a nice clear day, or do I just continue and shut off the sound? I hate shutting off the sound of the rain because I kind of like it in some regards, but it's so loud. Anyway, let's go to the front and we'll do a quick walkthrough. We'll talk about the pets and companions. So yeah, I think having the most creatures installed really made a big difference. It was a lot of fun having all the various pets. So Beans was my first companion. I was about to say pet, but more like a companion, and I gave him the name Squire Beans because of my son's nickname, and I think I even mentioned that when I first hired Beans. So Squire Beans became my first companion in episode 8. It goes way back to like December, looks like December 26th. I wrote that down, day after Christmas. and then my first pet was my first Munch the goat, the first Munch the goat, that is. Hey, don't eat the citizens. I know I'm not really here, not a king today, but still just doesn't feel right. And by the way, this is one of the problems I had with most creatures and the Tale of Kingdoms characters, is that the guards and even Beans, they don't fight back against aggressive animals. They'll fight monsters, but they don't attack bears and alligators and lions and stuff. So unfortunately, they would get eaten and I'd have to replace them, which was not only costly but kind of a pain in the neck. So that was one of the reasons that, and I guess that still happens now with the 2 mods. Anyway, so I'm really happy with the way the companions turned out. I never intended to have so many, but once I started taming pets and naming them and having them as companions, I thought it was really kind of fun. Not only did it give me people to talk to and name, it gave me the ability to kind of bring the world to life and give it some character. And make it seem more like a living, breathing world. So, and then I went around and I did some of these, you know, people actually had like histories. They had a backstory, like Polly and Tim. And there was one episode where I was just sitting here doing an intro, and all of a sudden I heard up in the, coming from the 2nd floor, and it turned out to be a werewolf. You remember that? So I went up and I slaughtered the werewolf, and then I pretended that it was Polly's husband, Tim. And it was all just improv. You know, this is improvisational. I didn't have any script ever for Tale of Kingdoms. Sometimes I would have an idea in my head, but of course once I started recording, it was all just improvisational. So that kind of gave life to the world and the town, and Polly and Tim here. You can see Tim deceased. That became part of the backstory. That's part of the history here. The public bath, we had people jumping in the water here, which was kind of a silly thing happening in just about every episode. And then I started giving names to people like Dwarf, rather than just, you know, shopkeeper kind of thing. Although remembering names was a problem for me. So I started putting up, well, that's when I put up the signs. I did that really late, actually. Like Fred's Forge. And of course we have these companions that were that are part of Tale of Kingdoms with Foxy there, and the mage, Hoodie the Mage, who I'll let you in on a little secret about Hoodie the Mage in the next Let's Play. And then monsters were always spawning in here. There's like these little pockets hidden around town like this, just dark areas that would allow monsters to spawn. And this happened a lot. I did a lot of intros right here, and when I did intros, I'd start up the map sometimes monsters would spawn in these little hidden pockets, and they'd be like, hey, what's going on? So I go check it out. Of course, it was all recorded, and I was the king guy trying to react like, my gosh, you have monsters in your closets here. So I called them the possible monster sympathizers. I was never able to prove it, of course. It was kind of neat adding buildings one at a time and then getting to meet each character. Like the block shop here, the guy looks like Santa Claus. And so I, the moment I saw him, I just started calling him Santa. I thought that was kind of silly. So he really does look like Santa. Nancy and Ferdinand was kind of a neat little subplot going on there. Again, it was all improvisational. I just happened to give her a name, and then Ferdinand and her got to know each other. I don't remember when that happened, but it was something that kind of developed over time. And then the whole with her being the witch thing just kind of came to me at the very end. And keep in mind that a lot of this stuff happened, and I didn't plan it. This building actually did burn down. It must have been struck by lightning, or a fire ogre set it in light. I don't know how that happened, but when it was burned down, I just kind of worked that into the story. And that's when Nancy became the witch. So we investigated, and then, I had the idea at one point. I'm like, how about if we make Nancy a witch, and then she has something to do with the transition from Tale of Kingdoms into the next series, which I still haven't fleshed out completely, but that's how that developed. It was all, it was just improvisational, just happened, and I reacted to it. Some of these signs aren't working here. Wealthy. This is the wealthy street. And then, of course, we have the Mage Hall here, which I dubbed Hog Farts, and we have Hoodie the Mage there. And see, oh, you can hear a skeleton back there. A lot of these buildings, like I said, have little hidden secrets. Wealthy taxpayers. And then the whole seedy plot here was kind of interesting, where it seemed to me like those guys just they were up to no good. Mr. Seedy, Mr. Sketchy. So I just kind of tossed that in there as a silly thing. Big, expensive chapel of faith. Yep, that was kind of an interesting development there. I think this was more wealthy. So yeah, going back to the pets, I think my last pet was Iron Gut when I was rebuilding the city over there, the town with the refucules. So that was my last pet. I had a lot of pets through the episodes over the years. Some died, some lived. Went through many munches, in fact, and a couple of Tuttles. The Tuttle story was kind of cool that I lost Tuttles early on. I don't know if you remember that, but really early on, I went out adventuring as before I even got settled here. And I'm going to get Benny and Lenny out. I don't need them following me around. And I lost him. He had a name, he was gone, lost. So I said, we're going to go find that guy someday. Oh, little mini panther. Middle class residents. Which we did. So I remember, like, we're going to have a quest to find Tuttles, and that was one of the episodes. We had a quest for Tuttles, and we went and actually located him. So that was pretty cool. City builder, long time friend and companion. So yeah, I had a lot of fun doing this, guys and gals. I hope you all really enjoyed it. Based on the comments and the views, I think a lot of people did. It was pretty steady viewership. And a lot of nice comments about it. And all the holding cell here, that was kind of funny. That was one of the setups. Obviously, I put the bars here, and I had to get... Oh, man, it was so hard to get. First of all, these guys, when you first start up the map, the citizens are all randomized. They just pop in. They're girls, men, various skins. So I had to get a CD somewhere around here, and then I had to nudge him in. I had to nudge, 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 nudge. And then I had my iron bars ready, and I put the iron bars down and trapped him. But then if I shut the game off and turned it back on, he was gone. So I had to make sure I had that right. And that was that was one of the few actual setups I had. I didn't write a script or anything, but I knew I wanted to have him trapped and then ask him a bunch of questions like he was being interrogated. So yeah, lots of little things like that happened, and that's one of the cool things about this roleplay that I like, adding the stories in and naming people and giving them some personality and character, and they're memorable figures in the Tale of Kingdoms and the life of Punchwood. A lot of them will never be forgotten. Certainly Beans and some of the long-standing citizens like Ferdinand here. You Ferdinand? You are Ferdinand. And the love story with him and Nancy, the tragic end that she's a witch. So, I don't know. I enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed watching it. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot one of the most interesting and probably one of the most controversial characters in the Tale of Kingdoms series, and that is Benny! Benny, take a bow, my friend. Yeah, love him or hate him, Benny has been around in Tale of Kingdoms since, well, very early in the series. I don't remember the exact episode he showed up in, but he became kind of a sideshow act with King Punchwood. His story was, when he first showed up, I turned him into a worker, and basically just if you give any citizen in the Tale of Kingdoms mod a tool, an axe or pickaxe, they become this worker. And in this mode, they're invincible, they can't be killed, and they follow you around. They never despawn either. That was kind of important for Benny to work. And they follow you around, and they're kind of a pain in the neck. So I worked it into the story that this guy, who is he? Why does he keep following me around? Get away from me. You know, he wants to be near the king all the time, so I called him Benny, and I called him the village dunce, and I made fun of him as the king, of course, and the king even tried to kill him on several occasions. He tried to get rid of him. So that became a sort of a mini-game, basically. A kind of a comedy side act, a mini-game between King Punchwood and Benny, and trying to rid himself of Benny. So he pushed him down into refuel holes, he pushed him into ravines, and of course it never worked, and I knew it wouldn't work. I knew that Benny was invincible in this mode, and that he would always show back up, and I was hoping he would show back up. I'd never ever intended for him to go away, despite lots of comments like, get rid of Benny, he's so annoying. But there was no way I was going to get rid of Benny. It was way too fun. And again, it was kind of like a Three Stooges or Laurel and Hardy relationship between the king and Benny. The king really adored Benny, despite him trying to kill him all the time. But he finally realized, after a period of time, almost the entire series, that Benny was just misunderstood. That Benny is really one of the bravest characters in the kingdom. And he showed that bravery when he fought the alligator and saved Foxy. And then I understood. And then King Punchwood got it. And he renamed him as Benny the Brave. Remember that. So that was the life and times of Benny. So I guess that's about it with Benny. And there's one more thing I should probably talk about. Well, King Punchwood and the role that I played. The role I chose for King Punchwood was one of a noble-born young man who grew up with servants and kind of had a silver spoon. Grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth, if you know what that means. Basically, he had this air of entitlement, and he was pompous, and he expected everybody to do things for him. But that's just the role I played, and I thought it worked pretty well. Yeah, he was kind of a jerk at times, but deep down, he really loved all of his companions and his friends and his citizens, but he didn't know better, you know. So yeah, once or twice I was accused of playing this character as a real jerk, and that he disrespected people and he tried to kill people. And my first reaction was, dude, it's just a game. But no, I didn't take on this series or this role to be a role model. King Punchwood is not a very good role model, in fact. But you know, the whole point of King Punchwood in this series was for comedy and entertainment. So don't take it to heart. Don't act that way. Certainly don't treat people the way King Punchwood would treat people, because you shouldn't. I guess that's it, guys and gals. I hope you all enjoy Tale of Kingdoms, and I'm not going to do the new mod right now because this video is long enough, I think. I'll do a whole new video for the new mod and the new Let's Play. We'll talk about that separately. Sorry, but time is up for now. Anyway, hope you all enjoy Tale of Kingdoms, and hope you stick around for the next series. I think you're gonna like it. Alright, we'll see ya. Benny, don't you have something better to do? Alright, bye all. Take care.